Hello, welcome to Rhizophilia. So 18 months ago, I built my first Johnson Su bioreactor. So this is an ambient temperature way of batch composting, invented by Professor David Johnson and his wife Rhys Jun Su. The reason I'm building it, again, this year, is because of the spectacular results I've had from the compost that came out of this. I'll explain a little bit more about the process in a minute, but let me show you what I produced last year. So ambient temperature composting basically just means you leave it to the leave it to the temperature of the surroundings. It's unlike thermophilic composting, where you actually want the compost to reach a temperature, a high temperature that will kill off weed seeds and pathogens. That's just another way of batch composting. Thermophilic will produce a compost pile in 2 or 3 months, whereas with the Johnson Su bioreactor compost, you leave it for 12, even 18 months. This is what you end up with, or this is what I ended up with. So I made my compost out of an equal mix, 50% wood chips, 50% grass. This is the brown material, this is the green material. So roughly a 1-to-1 ratio. And you can see the beautiful dark brown material that I've ended up with. Yeah. I mean, you can see from the colour, beautiful dark chocolate brown colour. Absolutely full of biology. We've looked at this under the microscope, it's brimming with microbes. Having spectacular results on my potting and sowing composts this year. You can see that it's still got some wood chip in that hasn't quite decomposed, so I've sieved this out for my sowing and potting. Probably because there was a little bit too much carbon material, not enough nitrogen material, so it ran out of nitrogen and the decomposition of this stopped. But that's okay, I sieved that out and put it back in the thermophilic compost pile to continue breaking down. Another good sign of a well-finished compost is, I mean, that just smells like that beautiful woodland floor smell that you get. Absolutely delicious. So what materials do you need for the Johnson Su bioreactor? Well, as you can see, it's a wire mesh frame in a cylindrical form. You want some drain pipes with 100mm diameter perhaps. Need about 6 or 7 of those, and some biodegradable fabric to line the Johnson Su bioreactor with. So I'll show how all that comes together in a short while, but now we're going to talk about the materials that we're going to put into the bioreactor. Wood chips, a fundamental part of Johnson Su composting. So I've built up a pile of wood chips here over the last couple of months. There's about 12, maybe 15 species of trees. Diversity is really important. The more different types of wood chip, the more diversity of fungi and bacteria that you're going to have. Vital for good soil food web functionality. So I've got hawthorn, blackthorn, apple tree, pear tree, plum trees, oak, beech, lime, sycamore, and half a dozen others. So the second part of my recipe is the green materials. So this is grass that I've been cutting and drying over the last 12 months. I've also included into this pile leafy materials like comfrey. So there's a lot of comfrey in here, a lot of borage as well, lots of leafy greens that I've dried out and mixed in with the grass. The reason I dry it out is because it stops the decomposition process. The nitrogen within the grass doesn't get gassed off into the atmosphere, and it means that I can use this at my leisure. So when I decide I want to do some batch composting, the material ready for use. Now, I mentioned a while ago that last year I made a mix that was 50-50 wood chips and green materials. I'm going to changed the recipe slightly this year, so I end up with less woody debris in the pile. I'm going to put in 10% of shredded leaves, so this is also a brown material, and I'm going to make a 60-40 mix, so 40 of brown, 60 of my green materials. I've got these buckets, 10 of them. I'm going to fill 3 with the wood chips, 1 with the brown leaves as I've done here, and then there'll be 6 filled with the dry green materials. Now I can't use these materials as they are because the microbial process needs moisture, a lot of moisture in the Johnson Su bioreactor, upwards of 30, 40, even 50%. So I now need to get these under soak, and they're going to be under soak for 24, 36 hours. I have here my specially modified Rhodesian Ridgeback watering can that just helps to spread the water rather quickly. So I'll get these filled up, I'll get them underwater, and I'll see you tomorrow. Well, here we are 24 hours later. The dry materials have been soaking in these buckets overnight. It's taken about 500 litres to get these soaking. I've been using rainwater collected in the cube off the roof of the compost station. Lovely soft water. We're actually in a hard water area here, and that's actually quite important. Also, I use rainwater rather than tap water because chlorine isn't very good for microbes. Soaking the materials is essential for your Johnson Su bioreactor. It's probably the most common mistake that people make, not to soak dried wood chips or dry materials. Okay, cool. Let's get mixing. Okay, so I've been mixing this as I've been going, but now I'm going to give it one good mix and then start loading up the reactor. I mean, who doesn't love doing a job like this? Absolutely brilliant fun. So I just wanted to show you inside the Johnson Su as it's been built up. I've put the biodegradable liner in on 3 sides. I've got the first 3 pipes in, so the pipes go onto the metal rack at the bottom on top of the pallet where they can get air through them. I built them up. They're standing roughly where I want them to be. So you can see all the mixed wood and grass. So I'm just going to close the frame up, put in the last 3 drain pipes, and then start filling her up to the top. There was one thing I forgot to mention, is that although I won't be turning this pile for the next 12-18 months, I will be keeping an eye on the moisture and ensuring that it stays sufficiently damp for the microbial activity. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Let's keep that as an outtake.